Hey, everybody. So we're talking about the angel Nogahiel. And, a lot of times when you read through the book, it has a lot of similar terms, a lot of talk about light, a lot of talk about awakening, illumination, a lot of talk about guidance, protection, things of this nature, sometimes healing. And even though those words are the same, none of it really does it justice. And the difficulty is we're trying to use intellectual thinking to address something that's intuitional. And the intuitional part is hard to describe because it's not intellectual. It doesn't fit the parameters of intellect. So a lot of times you go, well, that sounds the same. And if you look at just like the basic idea of it's not what you said, it's how you said it, right? Like you're in an argument or somebody says something and it's like the words on paper sound fine, but there was something hurtful in it, or there was something uplifting in it, or something of that nature. And so it's the difference between seeing something as a thing and seeing it as a process. And a lot of times, even when we think of the things going on in our lives, difficulties, we see it as a thing, or we see it from the point of view of repetition. And it's the idea is like, oh, if I could just get this resolved and get back to the way things were, then everything would be good. And if you translated that, if I could just resolve this and get back to my old repetition, the repetition that I was the most comfortable with, it all would be good. And intellect is repetitive in nature. It wants to define something, know that, okay, this is what that is, this is what it does, and I'm going to stick it on the shelf. Where intuition, it's more like traveling, it's movement, it's having an experience. And even though you go to the same place every year, you might have different experiences every time you go. And so as we go through and we look at the angels that even have kind of similar names, that's a lot of what we're talking about. So with this particular angel, divine illumination, spiritual awakening, bringer of truth and clarity. Remember, truth is another way of saying light. Like light and truth are just different words saying the same thing. Protector of the light, and then guidance and purpose, and angel of healing light. So, angel of healing light. If you think of most healing, it's light, but it goes back to this idea of God's light or bringer of divine light. So, let's just talk about this for a second. Talk this out. The more that it's easy to see like what that exactly means. So, a lot of times when we're doing healing work, be it physical, psychological, we talk about it as like stress energy and then vagal tone or dysregulation and vagal reinforcement. And really, what we're talking about is form and light. The vagal tone aspect is light. The the stress and the dysregulation, that's all associated with the form, and it's all very repetitive in nature, right? It's protection, it's it's protection, it's defensiveness, it's seeking out safety, whatever it is, it's trying to protect and maintain something. That's part of the repetition, right? So when we are having disease in our body, there's not enough light and there's too much repetition. No matter what we're talking about, whatever the area, whatever the situation, even if it's physical, psychological, mental, environmental, the situation, whatever that is, it means too much repetition, which is defensiveness, protectiveness, you know, this repetition, and not enough light, which means vagal tone. So if we're in fight flight, we generate emotion, we generate anger, we generate fear, we generate anxiety, we generate these emotions, right? And if we don't process them, they are just part of the repetition. It's what we keep experiencing over and over and over again. But if we generate anger or fear because we're in a fight flight, situation, and we're going to fight better if we're angry, and we're going to run faster if we're afraid, and so on, right? For that to resolve, we have to slip into vagal tone, which means then there starts to be light in the situation, and we break out of the repetition because something spontaneous happened, and the light represents movement. We've moved out of that repetition. We're going to go back into repetition, but at least we won't be in that repetition, right? So in the mind, it's intellect and intuition. The intellect is repetitive in nature. Even if you're presenting a new idea, intellect goes, I need to know all the details and I need to know where this is going before I can do anything, because it's protecting, it's defending, it's trying to maintain the repetition that's happening over and over again. Where intuition comes in and goes, yeah, let's not do that anymore. Let's move out of this. Let's do something new. Let's have a different experience. Let's whatever it is, let's heal, let's learn, let's grow, let's not do the same thing over and over again. And so there's a little bit of this back and forth between the two until those two areas start to harmonize, and then they become a bigger functional unit. They become something different, right? So when we look at this aspect, really we're looking at, from an intellectual point of view, we're looking at three different kinds of spiritual energy, right? When we break it down to just the bare bones, what we're talking about, there's three spiritual energies. Now, from the point of view of vagal tone and intuition, those three different energies are actually one energy, and it's just different positions in the movement. It's just this movement where something's happening. At first it's one, then it's the other, then it's the other. To intuition, it's all the same thing. It's just where have you progressed? Like, what's been the progression, right? But from intellect, there's these three segments, right? So there's divine light, divine love, and then divine power, right? Now, divine power is creative destruction. Creative destruction sounds, to me, it sounds a little bit painful. Like, I gotta sacrifice something, I have to release something, I have to dramatically or drastically change something for something new to come in. And there is that, where it's something is removed for something new to come in, right? But really, what divine power is most times is realization. You realize something, you let go of some old repetitive way of thinking, and you go, oh, that's what's happening, or oh, that's what they meant when they said that, or oh, fill in the blank. So most times it's not this big dramatic devastating thing that has to happen for you to experience spiritual energy. It's more of a aha moment, right? And for us to be able to have an aha moment, we actually enter this aha moment from a place of love. Now, love is providence. Love is stability. Those things that bring us stability and providence in life are there because of our ability to experience, manifest, or maintain the love aspect. And so providence isn't just like I have all the things I need or I'm provided for. Providence is also that when difficulties happen in life, say things are relatively good in your life, right? And then there's a difficulty, a problem, a conflict, you know, something bad's happening, whatever it is. Now, when we're in our normal everyday survival mode, usually the difficulty becomes degenerative in nature. For most people, difficulty is degenerative in nature. A health issue, blockages in the body, like lower emotions, difficult people, difficult situations, a problem. Even though you might try to work through it, there's still a lot of degeneration that happens because of it. We get stressed out, we get into some sort of repetitive loop or traumatized a little bit, something, something's happening. And a lot of times the negative situation has like a negative end result, right? Now, for us to experience divine love, a difficult situation, what we would call a bad situation, if we can maintain some certain aspects and we're basically sitting in divine love, a difficult situation eventually, as it progresses, doesn't degenerate. It actually regenerates and turns into something positive. It turns into like a shift in consciousness or a way that we've learned something or we've evolved out of something, or maybe it was that we were outgrowing something and we let something go, embrace something new, and all of a sudden things are better than it was. You know, like one time we had a particular employee and, everything was good. And then all of a sudden, very quickly, it wasn't. And the person left and it was very shocking. And we were like, ugh, what are we going to do? And then we got a new person to come in. And in a short amount of time, that person was way more productive, had a way better attitude. And we didn't really think the old person had a bad attitude until this new person came. And we are like, oh, it's kind of amazing. We didn't realize we even had an issue. But now all of a sudden, that person left on their own reasons. But like we got the new person in and we were like, we were okay with the way things were, but now we actually have a significant upgrade and the person still new, right? We didn't think that we had a problem. We didn't realize we were having a difficulty. And really, if you would have asked us, I don't think we would have said, yeah, we're having a difficulty or whatever. We were just like, it's all good. It's fine. And then this other person, the new person came in and we're like, apparently we were having a difficulty. We didn't know it, you know. And that is the love aspect. Even though something weird happened or something bad or difficult happened, um, the person was very nasty when they left. And so, you know, oh, okay, that was weird, but okay. And the new person came in and was like, this is amazing. Wow. And so by not being reactive and just trying to maintain our sense of balance, something very good actually came out of the negative thing, right? Something very, very good came out of the negative thing. And so what started off as negative actually turned in to be like a blessing, right? but we had to break out of the repetition of that other situation to be able to embrace this new aspect, right? Okay, so that's the love aspect. Now we get to divine intelligence or light, divine light, divine truth, divine intelligence, whatever you'd like. So we practice this all the time, you know. Basically we go, okay, do I feel stress in my body? Do I feel tension in my body? Do I feel agitation in my body? And we sit and we feel it. And then we go, okay, I'm focusing on the agitation. And then I start to feel good. I start to relax. My body shifts. My mind comes out of repetitive thinking and I shift into more of um, a state of wisdom or a state of awareness, right? And so what happens is that we're constantly in action, activity, and rest and repair. And when we're threatened, when we're displaced, when we're triggered, when something bad is directed at us, when we have a weird perception, we go into survival mode. We go into defense mode. That's normal. That's part of being human, right? But how much we linger there a lot of times has to do with conditioning and perception and body perception, things like this, right? And then we go, okay, I've had enough of this stress. I've had enough of this. I need to go into rest and repair mode. I need to finish this loop, complete it, and then restore the body. So a lot of times we're talking about stress and then vagal tone, or dysregulation and a deeper level of vagal tone that we call vagal reinforcement. And vagal reinforcement simply means you're processing the stress, you're processing the emotion, you're processing the dysregulation, the injury, the harm, the pain. You're processing it in your body and your emotions, and then your brain and your mind is listening to the body. It's not even about taking the action. It's just the mind going to the body. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that was a rough day. Okay, you know, this is going on, that's going on, whatever it is. But I hear you, right? So you've processed some of those emotions. Yes, you are angry, but you don't have to be angry anymore. Yes, it was fearful, a fearful situation, but you don't have to be afraid anymore, right? So you notice those things are not a constant, right? Even the repetition in your mind, it's not always ba 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 ba. It's like ba 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 ba. It's not 24/7 the same, right? And so the idea of divine intelligence, it's based on cycles. Things are good, things are not. You're in you're in perfect vagal tone, and then you go to Costco and you have to drive in traffic and do all the things you got to do, and you're not in vagal tone anymore. You're kind of stressed out, you're a little bit irritated, you might be a little upset, and then you come back home and you're like, oh, I got to get settled. Back in vagal tone again, right? So we're going between action and activity and rest and repair. Really, what we're dealing with is our reflexes and reactions in the world, taking action, having stress, having difficulty, and then coming back and being able to rest at the end of the day, repair ourselves, regenerate ourselves, right? Um, so this idea that is divine intelligence is these cycles, right? You're not always going to be in vagal tone. And even when we're super dysregulated, we're still not always in dysregulation. There's always a little bit of both, right? But we want the stress to not be too bad, and we want the vagal tone to come when we need it. We don't want to be sleepy driving on the freeway, or we don't want to be sleepy at work, or whatever it might be. And so this idea is When you are able to harness the law of cycles, when you're able to harness the cycles that go through life, through your emotions, through the things that you do on a daily, a weekly, a monthly, a yearly basis, the things that happen in relationships, when you're able to harness the cycles, when you harness those cycles, when you're able to kind of have a flow between action, activity, and rest and repair, when you harness that, it produces love. The only way you can experience love is through light, right? So if you're not experiencing light, you're not going to have stability. You're not going to have providence. You're not going to have, when the difficulties happen, that it turns into something better because you're in defense mode. You're in reaction mode. You're in your reflex mode. You're in protective mode. And a lot of times that is actually what makes things worse, right? So the ability to harness this idea of cycles or divine intelligence is about, in times of difficulty, right? In times of difficulty, being able to access vagal tone. In times of difficulty, being able to access intuition. So if you had no difficulties in your life, like none, maybe little tiny things, you would be able to maintain vagal tone to a certain extent, and you would be able to experience love to a certain extent. But the love aspect, the light aspect wouldn't grow. The only way it grows is to go out, have action and activity, and then when you come back, go, now bring it back to the light. Bring it back to the intuitive mind. Bring it back to that resting place of rest and repair, right? And so this is the idea of emptiness and interdependence. Emptiness would be a very activated heart and wisdom and the ability to spiritually grow and evolve, a deep sense of peace. And on our own, we can only experience so much. The thing that pushes all those things to greater levels, where we have a greater sense of fulfillment, we have a greater sense of well being, we experience deeper levels of love. We have deeper levels of connection with people, but connection with the divine. We experience our soul to a higher degree, is having those stressful events and then being able to come back to vagal tone. For most people, when they have those difficult events, they get pulled into a stressful direction and then they never pull out of it. So then there is suffering. I mean, that's literally what suffering is you're pulled out of that vagal state, that state of light, that state of balance, and you're in this degenerative, stressful cycle that you can't pull out of, right? So light produces love. Love produces realization. Realization diminishes our suffering. I mean, if we're wanting to feel better, if we're wanting to spiritually grow and evolve, if we want to have deeper connections and relationships, whatever it is, light, then love, then realization. Even connecting with another person, for us to truly have a deeper level of connection, there's a certain level or degree of realization that happens, right? So, really, we're talking about a spectrum of something happening, not three separate events. But to the intellect, it looks like three separate events, right? So when you see angels where they talk about, or sometimes it's beings or deities, dharma protectors, they'll talk about they're bringers of light, or they bring light. What that means is in times of difficulty, if you sit and put your attention on them, they help you bring light to the difficulty that eventually produces love and then eventually produces realization. If you're not able to bring light to that situation, you are degenerating and you are suffering. Even if you don't acknowledge it, it doesn't matter. You are degenerating, you're in a loop, and you are suffering. So the idea is in times of difficulty, it's like we all have them, right? But in times of difficulty, to be able to go, okay, this is stressing me out, this is upsetting me, this is going on, I'm agitated, I'm having to deal with this person and all their dramas and whatever it is. Yes, you try to handle it the way that you can handle it, but still there has to come a time where you go, okay, in this situation, can I bring light to my body? Can I bring vagal tone? Can I bring intuition? And then when we look at the idea of the reflexes, our reactions, our instinctive responses in these different situations, in the middle of that, can we go, okay, this person's stomping on my foot every day. Can I not punch them in the face? Can I not shove them to the ground? Can I not yell at them or still need to deal with them, right? But I need to not just do what they're doing, right? So in that space, can I, in the action, right, in the action itself, can I bring light even when the difficulty is in motion, right? Even when it's in the middle of they're stomping on my foot, can I not have a crazy reaction and still defend myself, but do it from a place of vagal tone, of intuition, of light, and do it in a way that is more of who we are and wisdom rather than survival mode version of ourselves. And so that is not only the bringer of light, but if we're able to start maintaining that in the time where something bad is happening and in the moment, not when you go home and retreat, but in the moment, go, I'm going to not try to go into crazy fight flight. I'm going to try to regulate myself so I make decisions rather than have reactions, right? When we're able to start touching that, that is what is meant when an angel or a deity or a dharma protector is a protector of the light. You're in the protection mode, you're in the defensive mode, but you're able to bring light to it, even though when you're engaged in fight flight. So then it becomes the protector of light. This angel is a protector of a light. Some of the, in Buddhism, some of the beings, the Dharma protectors that are associated with prosperity and things, they're referred to as protectors of the light, right? Because you're able to maintain the vagal tone, you're able to maintain wisdom and intuition in the moment where the difficulty, the stress, the defensiveness, the protectiveness, the repetition is happening in the moment. You're able to go, but I choose light. In this, I choose light. And as I choose light, it's going to turn into love. And whatever is happening is going to turn in something that benefits me, and most likely it's going to benefit others. It's going to manifest goodness. And in all of this, I will begin to realize. Even if this idea is hard to grasp or seems very foreign, if you just keep practicing the things that we do, like you're practicing vagal tone, you're practicing things of doing intuition, you're bringing your body to rest and repair mode. We feel things in the body, we listen to the body with the mind. We're doing all these things. You're practicing it. You'll just keep doing the steps and it will happen. But still, to give an intellectual explanation to what that really means. When we're doing body listening, it is a very profound practice. It's very simple. It gets overlooked by a lot of people in other traditions because it's so simple. But when doing like deep therapy with somebody, just trying to get them to do body listening for a little while is very hard because you keep bringing light to whatever difficulty keeps arising in you. And they'll do it for a little bit, they'll start to feel better, and then they'll go, I've had enough because you are breaking out of those patterns of suffering, right? It's it's simple but powerful. And so this idea of this angel is not only like teaching you the idea, but in those times, in the face of those difficulties, in those moments of fight, flight, or abandonment, or freeze mode, or you're just struggling and you don't know what's going on, when you invoke this angel, it helps to bring light to the situation and it helps to protect the light. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you just invoke the angel, light comes in. But if you invoke this angel in the middle of a difficulty, the level of light that comes in is mind blowing. It's mind blowing. It's not the same. Like the difficulty is is almost like setting the space for an incredible amount of light to come in. We just have to be able to have our faculties to be able to reach out to the angel in this time. So, in the times of the difficulties, in the times, as soon as you can, where you just stop and you say the name over and over a little bit, it will bring a tremendous amount of light, which again eventually turns into love and then eventually turns into realization. Like it moves you out of the situation. So, something that seems devastating and hard and dark, ugh, I don't know what I'm going to do. You're going to ride the wave. That's what you're going to do. You keep your faculties about you, but you process the instinctive responses, you process the emotions, you process the mental thought, and then all of a sudden you're on the other side and things are way better than you'd ever hoped. You couldn't you couldn't see it from an intellectual point of view because the steps that happen or the flow that happens is not an intellectual process. The mind just sees the repetition and I want this or this needs to happen. It doesn't really see what the light is capable of. It might even perceive light a little bit, but it doesn't see what the light is capable of. When we really begin to experience the light, I would say part of the realization is you begin to realize the possibilities of bringing light in into a situation or tapping into the light. And at some point, the idea of faith is the ability to depend on the light, right? That sounds very simple, but you depend on the light. You go, I'm going into defense mode. I'm going into protective mode. I'm going into fight flight mode. I want to be aggressive and protect myself. This person is trying to hurt me. But can I depend on the light? Can I depend on the light to show me the way in this moment of darkness? So let's work with Angel Nogahiel. Me too. Okay, so we're going to do this a couple of different ways. First, we're just going to invoke the name. And then we're going to do an experiment where we recall some negative situation. It doesn't have to be active, but we begin to experience it. And then we're going to invoke the name. Okay. So right now you're just sitting there, your eyes are closed. Just hear my words and let go. Keep your awareness on your brain. How about we'll do it like that? No go high L no go high no go high L. Just be still. Let go of everything. Just be still. Okay. So now feel your body. Feel some difficulty, an agitation, a heaviness, an irritation, an ache or a pain. Okay. With your awareness on that area of your body, you're maintaining your awareness on that area of your body. Could be a health issue, an area where your body is compromised. No go high Your awareness is still on your body, still on that area. Let go. Just let go. Could you feel a difference between the two? Yeah, like way different. I got to stop myself because I still have to talk. Now, this is what I'd say is even if it's something in the past, even these past situations, they're still impacting the body. Your emotions and mind might have moved past something, but there's still some repetition, defensiveness, protectiveness, trauma, whatever it is. Let's recall something from the past and see what happens. So observe something that's either an active situation or a past event. Okay, you're observing the situation, you're observing the event. Keep your awareness on that situation and the event. No go high L. No go high. Just let it go. Let everything go. You can keep on the same situation or you can go to another situation. In doing this, you're bringing light to the situation. You're helping the situation to complete its loop between you and the body and you and the people or whoever, but you're bringing deeper levels of light, of healing, of intuition, of learning. And by doing this, eventually this situation or this pattern starts to produce love. No, Mm, sounds okay. Very simple, yet incredibly potent. And if we did it a couple more times, I don't know that I'd be able to talk through the rest of this session. I mean, whoa. Now, come back to the body. Feel your body. Where do you feel some tension in your body? Wherever you feel something in your body, your awareness is there. No go high hell. Deep, yeah. Okay. Let's share experiences. We are going to do a different process after we share experiences and questions and things. And it's probably good for me to talk because otherwise you guys are going to lose me too.
Yeah, go ahead, Teresa.
Hey, hey.
Let me see if I can help.
Oh, thanks, Sam. I'm actually driving, so I find this fascinating. Um, and I'm like, we soothing all the people waiting to go get the ferry. The second round of the angel, where you were vocalizing the name, I could feel the tension in my right eye behind the eye socket just released.
Mhm.
Powerful. I mean, a lot. I'm like, I was quite proud. Uh,
Yeah, I think
and
you were
uh,
crying a little bit too. Yeah, yeah. Part of crying a lot of times is you're processing through something, and there's like a realization, or sometimes the realization might even be like that situation isn't happening anymore. Like it might be. I mean, that sounds like really simple and basic to the mind, but to the body, it doesn't always get that message. Like it doesn't always know that. And so a lot of times the crying can be like you're grieving something that like it's leaving, even though it might be something negative and that you don't want, it's still there's a little bit of grieving, or there's a little bit of a realization of, oh, that's done, or it doesn't have to be that way anymore, or something is some version of that.
oh, okay. Yeah, I did have a realization probably that I've had before, but it was really gentle. It was like a cloud. I'm like, it,
Hmm.
it kind of moved out the disbelief. It was just really a matter of fact. They just
Hmm.
didn't care. There's nothing more complicated about it than that.
Hmm.
And, um, but thank you. I look forward to whatever we're doing next.
And so, like, even if you like, because there's all these like nuances, but even like you're saying, like, oh, they just didn't care. Um, Sometimes the realization is they're that way with everybody. It wasn't just me, because that's the thing is like
Yes.
when it feels very personal, it's like, even if it's unconscious, what's wrong with me? What did I do?
Yep.
Why did this happen? Like, I must have done something wrong, or I must have deserved it, or they just hated me, or whatever it
Oh,
is.
you know my talk track.
But then when you have the realization is like, no, they do it with everybody.
Yeah.
They I just happened to be the one standing in front of them that day or that year or
Yeah.
that part of
Yeah.
our life. And you know,
Uh-huh.
switch me with somebody else and they
Same
didn't
result.
skip a
Yeah.
beat. Yeah, they didn't skip a beat, you know.
And actually, thank you for bringing that up because in the
Mhm.
gentleness of they didn't care, there was no personalization. And
Good.
that's where I did in the past, and even last night I was working on this because I could feel it stuck in the body and the parts we were working on. And like
Mhm.
we're still there.
I
And
know.
it was more like a big white cloud. They just didn't care. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's it.
Yeah.
It's done. Yay.
And sometimes that they just didn't care is, how we're talking about like light turns into love and love turns into
Yeah.
realization is it's not that they just didn't care, is that sometimes they don't have the ability to love. Not
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
can love. And, you know, that's sad, but it is just what it is sometimes, to them they think they're being amazing or they're being whatever, but they're just in survival dominance, or they're just in something where
Mm.
you know
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
That's really good. Thank you for adding
Yours.
that too. It's always a
Yeah,
nice reminder. They
yeah,
just don't have the capacity. It's,
yeah. It
well,
would be amazing. I mean, we think that everybody does, but like I would say until just, I don't know, in the last like maybe less than 10 years, like 5 or 6 years, like I'm starting to get that, like, oh, not everybody can love. Like,
yeah,
I understood it intellectually, but like I didn't like get it. And then it started hitting me like, oh yeah, they're being this way, but they just that's the best that they can do.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the guru used to say, young souls behave like young souls.
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Oh, so true. Yeah. Well, thank you for that too.
yeah, yeah.
Hi, it's Lorraine.
Hey, Lorraine.
Every week the experiences for me have been profound and deeper and relaxing and expansion. And this week, the what you were talking about, the notion of invoking the name, the angel name in the midst of difficulty
Right.
is I just feel like that's going to be something that I'm going to use and try so that I don't go deep. I was thinking of a situation at work that was, oh man, it set me into repetition for
Sure.
days. And so
Yeah, yeah,
now having this, I'm looking forward to using it.
yeah. And the thing that I would say is it's so easy to forget. Like in the moment, I had one of those moments about what, 3 or 4 days ago, where I was like, I couldn't sleep, and I was like, ugh. And then, a couple hours, like, a little bit of a rough day, and nothing horrible, but just, things that happened. And there was still this one situation that was needing to be addressed, and I was in it. I was in the repetition. I was in like, and I'm laying there and I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to sleep and everything. And then just started slowly, here I'm laying in bed, and then I started invoking, a couple of angels, and next thing I knew it was morning. And I mean, I was like a fish on the shore. I was flopping around. I couldn't get comfortable. I was very agitated. And then as soon as I started invoking the name, and then in the morning, it seemed like a situation that was not resolvable. And in the morning, I had a solution, a solution that was very gentle too. It was not a lot of drama in it, just a very simple survival. Greg wouldn't have ever come up with it. Let's just say that, you know.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Let me know how it goes. Because and it doesn't have to be like, okay, I have to sit down and I have to invoke. You can just sit there and just go, okay, feel my body. And then just, you could even be standing there in the middle of like standing at a counter or something, and you go, okay, I'm just gonna say the name of my mind a couple of times and then see what happens. And then, a lot of times you feel guided to do whatever the next step is, be it action or like, I got to take this deeper.
I also like earlier today when you were talking about that so much of this is intuition and not intellect, but intellect wants to learn it, so you have to explain it. It sort of gives
Yeah.
permission to just experience and feel it and not have to get it up here.
Right. Yeah. It's good when they're on the same page. You know what I mean? Sometimes you really have to have like these separate experiences, but as you start having, you know, these experiences at some point, you're like, okay, let's talk this out and like try to get everything on the same page. And I find that it helps to take things deeper. Yeah. I think the biggest difficulty there is getting for most people, or I'd say all people, but is getting intuition to be able to sit at the table, or like being able to have intuition sit at the table. Because as soon as that does, the back and forth between that and intellect, they'll refine themselves, and it's just a matter of time. It's being able to get the intuitive mind, ugh, like there. And once it's there, it'll start happening. Yeah.
And we had some shares as well in the chat. Just the toning dropped the stress level on the event.
Yeah, we haven't even done the oils yet. You know, okay, here's the funny thing with like capitalizing on what they were saying. Like I did it. I was thinking of my situation earlier in the week. And I was like, even though it's all resolved and everything, I was starting to go to a little bit of a dark place. Not massively, but I could see it. I could see the off ramp really easy. And so I went back to that and I was doing it, and like, man, I was really feeling it. Like I was almost starting to go in dreaming here right in front of you. And I forgot we were doing oils. I was invoking the name, and then I'm thinking, oh, we're going to do this next thing. And then I was like, oh yeah, we're doing an oil class. We're doing an oil talk or whatever. Like, I was already so far out there that like, yeah. Anyway, I thought it was funny there in the moment.
It's funny. Someone's asking, can we ask the angel to stay with us and continue health healing?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, that's what you're doing by invoking the angel in the time of the difficulty. The more, because even the idea of, like Lorraine was saying, like, okay, in the middle of the difficulty, I'm going to say the name. Like, in a way, just the act of doing that is you're already starting to go, okay, I'm even if I'm in repetition, I can see that I need to step out of this. Like you're already starting to move out of it by doing that. That's even the same idea with prayer is, it's like say you're praying to Jesus or Shiva or, Buddha or whoever, is we're always their aura is the size of the planet. We're bathing in their aura right now. So when we're praying, we're not going like, hey, send me some energy. It's really what we're saying is, I need to step out of repetition and begin to experience the energy of Jesus that's floating around me all the time, or the energy of Shiva that's floating around me all the time, the energy of the Buddha that's always there. I have to break out of the repetition to go, oh, yeah, it's there. And with the idea with the angel, it's a very similar thing. Is it's an energy with consciousness, and so the more that you work, let's say an angel like this, right? The more that you work it, the stronger the connection. And I would say the more that you work it in what you would say is like their specialty, You know, like all the angels are present, and even when we invoked it at the beginning, it's like, oh, I can feel the energy. If it feels strong, and then you go, okay, but this whole bringer of light and protector of the light, let's see what that is. You go to the difficulty, and then you invoke it, and then it's like, whoa. I mean, you can feel the light coming in, like the light is shifting you, and you know, the more that you work it, the more that it's present, but it really becomes about not that it needs to stay with us, but that we need to stay with it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And the idea of invoking it is going, I need to step out of this repetition. I need to step out of me going to this dark place. I need to stop the defensiveness and this like panic or whatever it is, and just for a moment, like touch that angel, and then it can do what it does. It would do what it does all the time, but we're too like distracted or closed off for us to experience it. So the idea would be the more you keep opening up to it, the more it can just be there and be present and can be called upon almost instantaneously just because there's need. Yeah.
I love that. And reminds me, I think when we were working Michael, even Michael or one of the angels, now I can't quite remember, but you were like, okay, think of this. Now think of, something, I think it was like one of the conflicts and just the energy difference. I like that's their specialty, whatever it was. And so the energy really just flows through. So for me, I did one of my chronic places, and it was like hitting, like almost like, whoa, I don't let the light in. Like that's why it's this chronic pattern.
Mhm.
And that's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about survival mode like when we're dealing with Joe coming to stomp on our foot and Uncle Bob who's going to be insulting at the family dinner get together or whatever. But even the defensive or protective mode also is in our body, like where we have something that's compromised and the body tries to maintain it, and it goes into a kind of defense mode. So even that idea of going to the body, like she was saying, when something's chronic, it doesn't mean it's just like there and it's been there a long time. The brain and the nervous system is trying to manage those areas. So if it goes, look, your shoulder is compromised and we need you not to lift things or lift your arm over your head or do any of these things. Otherwise, it's going to maybe degenerate a little bit more. So we've decided that we're going to make your shoulder hurt really bad. And if your shoulder hurts really bad, you're probably not going to pick anything up. You're going to lift it over your head. You're not going to sleep on it. You're not going to do any of these things. And so, the decision's been made. It's going to happen. And so, we think of like, I got to make this feel better so that, you know, I'm comfortable again. But really, it's the body trying to protect us. It's trying to defend these areas, and it's tension, it's pain, it's agitation. It starts to lack, range of motion and movement. It's some sort of discomfort. And, we always think of it as like we need to deal with the symptom of pain. But really, what we need to do is bring a deeper level of vagal tone so that the body, is being heard by the brain. And the brain goes, oh, okay. So what you're saying is you understand that your shoulder's compromised. Okay, well, we don't have to make it hurt as bad. Okay, we can agree on it. Maybe we'll lower it for 20%. And then it's like, let's listen to the body a little bit more. And then it keeps diminishing and diminishing and diminishing, right? And it's simply because vagal tone means a processing of instinct, of reflexes, of emotion. All of these things are being processed. And so then the mind goes, or the brain goes, oh, so you understand you have a bad back. You understand your knee is no good. All right, well, if you get it, then I guess we don't have to make it hurt too bad. Like, let's lower it down a little bit and we can let some of the tension out and not splint that joint because you understand, don't pick up a heavy box. So we'll do that. You're on probation. If you do something stupid, we are going to make it hurt. You are on probation, double secret probation, but you're on probation. And then, over a period of time, sometimes there's not a significant change in the tissue. And, that area might be, still compromised, but the pain and the inflammation has substantially reduced, even though there's not been a big change in the area. If we understand how the nervous system works, it becomes easier to manage these things so that we have a better quality of life.
And somebody shared energy moving up the back chakras from the back heart, back throat, back head to the crown.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So we're gonna do a process now with the oils. Oh yeah, we're working with oils, right? So have your oil ready, and we're going to deepen the process of processing. Because if we're processing defensiveness, protectiveness, instinctive responses, and reflexes, we then start to process emotion and those homeostatic emotions that are tied to surviving and thriving in the external environment. Eventually it will affect our mind. So this is exactly what the three brains is about. So the three brains is, we go from the sex chakra to the low back. This is processing your instinctive responses and your reflexes. And then we go from the front solar plexus, the source of lower emotion, to the back heart, moving it up to higher emotion. So we're processing the emotion. Then we go to the brain, and then eventually to the crown, so that we take lower thinking and we move it to higher thinking, right? To the intuitive mind, rather than just the detail oriented thinking. So we're opening up how we process it so that in those moments where we say the angel name or where we're in difficulty, that we're able to process through it and go, oh yeah, I'm going to invoke the angel, or I've evoked it enough where it just starts to come in, right? Going back to when the person said, can I ask the angel to be with me all the time? It's really, we're needing to be like open to it, or at least looking outside of the repetition for something to come in. So the three brains actually helps facilitate this process. You don't need to think about anything or recall anything. We're just going to do the process a couple of times. So begin inhaling the oil. Your awareness is on the sex chakra. Your awareness is on the sex chakra where the sex organs are. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on the low back, the backside of the navel. Your awareness is on your low back. Your awareness is on the front solar plexus. I think I have a big bottle of this on the table if you want. For you now. It's like kind of over by where the rods. And then the back heart, that area between the shoulder blades. But your awareness is on the back heart. Then your awareness is on the brain. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the brain. And then the very top of your head, the crown. Your awareness is on the crown. And then pause and let go. And that, yeah. So I think somebody was asking what's in the oils, right? Or what's in this blend. So we're going to do another round, but I just want to talk you through and why this is such a potent practice. It's a very simple blend. It's lemongrass, kava kava, benzoin, and patchouli. Each one of those oils has a balancing effect on the action activity and rest and repair mode. Like it doesn't make one too excessive, it makes them like harmonious, like it brings balance to it. So it gives tone to fight flight so that it's normal reactions. And then it deepens the vagal tone and gives it more tone, but it's not that we're always just stuck in it or we only can go in it when we're exhausted or injured. It makes them both like kind of partners. So they're like co-creating in any of these situations, right? So in that place of balance, you're able to bring in more light and have it impact this, like the survival field, or the stress reactions, the reflexes, the survival modes. You're able to bring more light into it, because you're not just shifting into vagal tone go, I can't do this right now, I'm in repair mode. But it's kind of like what Lorraine was saying, like, I want to be able to bring it in while I'm in the middle of a crisis at work, or when I'm in the middle of something going on, at home, or whatever it is. I want to be like in the moment. I want to be able to, and that, when we're working that from the point of view of the nervous system, comes from a place of balance. And the mind, it also comes from a place of balance between intellect and intuition. It's not an either or. It's like they are getting along with each other and they're communicating with each other. And so that's what we're shooting for. Okay. So we're going to do it again. You're inhaling. Your awareness is on the sex chakra, where the sex organs are. Your low back, the backside of the navel. Your front solar plexus, that area below your ribs on your upper abdomen. your back heart. Your awareness is on the back heart. Your awareness is on your brain. Your awareness is on your brain. Your awareness is on your crown. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. Pause and let go. You're just being still. Now, we've increased our ability to process, which means we've increased our ability to bring in light and to experience light. And if we do this enough, to even begin to protect the light. So, in doing that, let's go back to one of our situations or past events. And again, we'll do it with a name. Okay, so you're reflecting and observing past event or a situation. No. Go. Hoy. El. No. Go. Hoi. El. You can keep inhaling the oil. No. Go. How does that feel? Okay, let's go ahead and do shares and questions. You can unmute yourself, type in.
Yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
Hey,
Hi. Hi. I really appreciate uh, this is a very timely angel for me. So when I signed in today, I noticed a deep ache in my left ankle and
mm,
uh, towards the front part.
mm-hmm.
And I was so anxious that I started inhaling the oil while you were doing the first part. And I would say maybe 40-50% improvement with the
Oh,
first
good.
part,
Yeah.
but that was still pretty achy. And then let's see. Yeah, there's about 10% left of the discomfort. So,
Oh, tremendous.
yeah, listen to the teacher. Yeah.
You're so kind. Thank
So the
you.
situation, I'm trying to be discreet. I belonged to a healing and service organization for
Mhm.
about 20 years. And then I said something at a luncheon and I mentioned my activity from 29 years ago. And somebody got freaked out. And then I got a notice from the head of the organization that my volunteer services were no longer wanted. My attendance at the healing clinic was no longer welcome,
Oh,
and
wow.
that I was not allowed to contact anybody in the organization without running it by the head the head honcho first.
Mhm.
So I was devastated, not only in terms of spiritual development, healing opportunities, being of service, but also my friends and buddies whom
Sure.
I had
Yeah.
come to rely on and yeah, socialize. And
Yeah.
so that was all cut off. So definitely I took it personally. And then I heard this weakness regarding this subject is the continuing issue regarding this organization. So then
Mm.
I realized it wasn't about me and
Right.
still all the losses. So I'm talking, let's see, February, June, 4 months. I realize now that um, I have opportunities as though different doors to the mansion have been opened to me. Just like you
Right.
said, when
Right.
that
Right. Right. Right.
individual, your employee left, and then you realized in
Yeah.
hindsight, oh, wow. So, same with me. And I don't know if this ache is because of this situation I'm describing to you in detail. That's mostly what I've been thinking about. Yeah. So, uh,
Yeah. And you know, sometimes it's that you know we don't realize it, but maybe we've outgrown it, or and it doesn't mean that there's you know we completely understand like the teachings or whatever is being represented there, but you know, still sometimes the dynamics within the group, you've outgrown the dynamics of the group, and sometimes those situations become inhibiting rather than you know, nurturing, supportive, or, you know, expanding your growth and development or healing, whatever that might be. And so, like, you know, the way we kind of looked at it, we didn't think about it that way right at first. Because I gotta say, I think both of us, our feelings were hurt a little bit.
sure.
And, you know, but it's like we had outgrown the person, and the person was really kind of holding some things back, you know, just because of their nature.
I
And
can relate in
yeah,
terms of I
yeah,
had gotten into a rut. I was
yeah,
not
yeah, it's a
willing
good
to
way of saying it.
do
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
not willing to do the physical exercises that are required for higher growth. And so I had plateaued. And I plateaued long enough that, yeah, it was time for me to move on. And that higher uh, divine uh, universe started hitting me with small uh, tugs or knocks. And then eventually it's the cosmic two by four. And
right.
this is not a new pattern for my vocational life. I keep getting hit with cosmic two by fours because I'm not getting the message.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah, I'm glad you're having a good experience today.
Thank you, sir.
And go ahead, Teresa.
Hey, hey.
Hi. Um, just a question. I
Sure.
didn't have this angel on hand, but I did have another archangel that I used.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I get double benefits since we did the
Each angel, I mean, any angel that you would use in a situation like this would do something, but the
Okay.
ones that are about bringing light or protecting light are especially good for this
Okay.
situation. But say like you're like, well, I only had Metatron, so what do
Yeah.
I do? Yeah, you work Metatron.
Yeah.
Or I can't remember the names of these angels, and I don't have the
Oh,
book handy. So then you work one that you know. Of course, there's going to be some benefit,
okay.
but this idea of like bringing in light to something that because darkness, it doesn't mean evil. It usually just means like
Exactly.
ignorance or repetition or survival mode or like on a deeper level, it's like survival dominance. Like, we
Sure.
really have a hard time even just letting our guard down a little bit for something different to happen.
Mhm.
We go back to like the situation, the employee thing wasn't that big of a deal, but there's been times in my life where, you know, I wasn't aware of it, but I needed a big change. And,
Yep.
I've had three different occasions where my my house or my apartment or whatever it was back when I was younger completely gone. Like everything wiped out, like lost everything. Had to
Mhm.
start over from scratch. And all before the age of like 30. And at the time, it's kind of like what Dennis was saying. Like I was very much in a rut, and left to my own devices, I was not going to break out of it. And so, as much as that, like, really kind of sucks, it was unpleasant. At the same time, afterwards, I looked back on it. I was like, it was probably good that it happened. You know,
Sure.
I don't wish for it again, and I don't wish for change to be that dramatic. But
Mhm.
but that it happened like afterwards, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I was not progressing. I was not growing. I wasn't, if anything, I was degenerating. I was
Sure.
doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result.
Got
And
it.
so,
Yep.
that idea of bringing in light is really like in those times of darkness to be able to bring the light in to heal or move out of it or break out of a pattern, whatever it is.
Yeah, then I think this one should be fine. It was Angel Gabriel.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah, if I
that's
remember right, that still is in a similar vibe.
yeah, light and illumination. I mean, it was the only one I had in the car. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I guess this is what it is.
I don't know how you're driving a car and doing this, by the way.
Oh, I'm in a ferry now, so I'm on the water.
Okay, okay. I was like, boy, you got a
It
skill
made
set that I do not have.
it made waiting for the ferry a lot more pleasant when you were doing the protocols.
Yeah. Well, good.
All right. Well, thank you so very much.
You're so welcome.
Someone shared, thank you. It's been a long day, and this is just the beginning for rest that I need.
Yeah, good. Yeah. And after we did the three brains, I don't know if you noticed, like when we first did it, I'll use my experience here. Is like when we first said the name, I was like, whoa, man, I could barely keep my eyes open. We did the three brains, and then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I can keep my eyes open. But I started like sitting with, but what am I feeling? My mind was quiet, my emotions were quiet, and the instincts were quiet. And even the instincts, you wouldn't think like, oh, my instincts are quiet, but there was a level of agitation that went significantly down in the body. And I didn't even realize that it was agitation until it went down. And then I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, the body was kind of agitated there. Like there was some agitation. And so, Like the light is flowing through the mental body, the emotional body, and the physical body at that point. So the three brains helps to facilitate a deeper level of something and a deeper level of like movement. And it's not necessarily something that like makes you sleepy. Like when you go through and you're processing it, going back to like what Lorraine was saying, like the ability to say something in the middle of an action. If you get sleepy there and you get overwhelmed and you're like, okay, I said the name, you know, it's going to be hard to bring light into something that's in motion, right? And so the more you do the three brain, the more that you can invoke. And then while those things are going on, you can still bring in that light. And it's like vagal tone and regular response to action activity are like hand in hand working together rather than two independent pieces. And so going back to even the oils that are in the blend, they're all balancing that part of the nervous system. They're all making it work together rather than two separates. So
I love that you bring that point up because when we did the second time looking at the situation, it was it, I was like so stuck in it earlier, like very physically. But I had this like I don't want to say beyond the astral, but as close as my like awareness, I was just like, holy moly, like the light hitting into another like field, like and having some awareness of that just kind of blew my mind.
right. Like you are going to get different perspectives because the the light turns to love and then the love turns into realization, which is like a different kind of perception, right? And so when like if you think again from the point of view of the nervous system, when the body needs to go into repair mode, you get sleepy, like, oh God, I can't keep my eyes open. Uh, you know, that's not very much action and activity, and your body is like, gotta not do that, and we're just going to repair. Right. So even like me, I'm sitting here doing this with you guys. I invoked the name and I forgot we were doing oils. I was like a million miles away. I was expanded like, ugh. I was in deep repair mode. And then we go through and we do the three brains. And then I can feel something happen. I'm still having movement, but I don't need to go into deep repair mode because I'm able to bring light into the action and activity and walk with it hand in hand. And so, in the balance, you don't have to do the excess, right? So, even good vagal tone is great. But if, like Lorraine, I'm at work, that I need to lay down and take 15 minutes. I'm gonna lay on the floor while I invoke this angel. Not very practical. And you're not going to shift or change the survival mode or the stress response, that survival dominance by simply just going into rest mode. You got to be able to go, okay, I can bring light into the action component so that again, we're hand in hand, not two separate pieces functioning separately. And so the more that we are able to process, like that's the idea of the three brains, the more that you can process on those three levels, you're bringing light into the situation.
And go ahead, Dennis.
I am aware for decades in my healing process that once I have gotten some idea about reconciliation, I have this nasty habit of, I'll call it false humility, of this desire for retribution,
Sure.
punishment,
Yeah.
this idea of, you nasty so and so, why did you bring this on me? And
Right.
so I haven't had enough experience with all that you do and the three brains, etc. Is there anything that I can do or focus on or
I
concentrate
mean, the
on?
things
So,
that we did tonight should help with that.
okay,
The bringing in the angel in kind of the moment, and even if you're about to go into it, you go, okay, hey, I'm about to face the dragon. So, and then you go face the dragon, and so the three brains makes it easier when you're having to face the dragon or go into these difficult situations.
okay,
The a lot of times what happens for a while, we're kind of in an either or situation. So we have this bad experience or stress or whatever it is, survival mode, and then we kind of snap out of it. And then you go, okay, I got to recover from that. That was brutal. That was just so brutal. I need to rest. I need to recover. I need to restore myself. I need to get to a place where I feel a little bit better. My emotions are calm. I'm not feeling traumatized, whatever it is. But the idea of three brains is to be able to bring in vagal tone, intuition, active learning, which is an intuitive process, processing, shifting in the time where there's action so that we don't go into that deeper stress or survival mode and we don't get super traumatized and we kind of learn in the moment because intuition can handle a situation right there, right then, right now. Intellect goes, oh, I got to process this later, or I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a template. I didn't have a strategy when I went into this session, whatever it
okay,
is. And so intuition is like, yeah, don't worry. Like think of intuition as like playing an instrument or sports or, you're playing with something. You don't go, okay, I got to move my hand this way and then that way and then this way and that way when I'm playing the violin. You just start going, oh, oh, oh.
okay,
Same thing in these situations. It's almost like a dance. It's almost like this play. It's this kind of making adjustments in the moment. Yeah.
okay. I played the cello for 50 years, so I can
Oh,
relate to
wow.
that. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
very nice.
okay.
That's a
Thanks.
beautiful instrument. Yeah.
When some people play it, yeah, and other people.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty funny.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's also great for the analogy because
Right,
if you
right,
think about learning, like first starting the instrument, you feel a little like
right.
first introducing the intuitions, a little like it. Uh, I think that might be the
Okay.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, how about we just say the name a couple more times and then we're just gently gonna slide over to the Tuesday night prayer petition blessing with Astara. We're posting the link, but let's just close our eyes for a moment and do the angel name again a couple more times. No go high no Okay, you guys, thanks for a great night, and I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it, got some benefit and healing. And we're gonna slide over to the prayer petition blessing, and yeah, we're probably gonna continue with some of the stuff we're doing here over there. So